When most people think of film music, they think melodies. I don't. I think concept, because concept determines every note that follows. When director David Debry first shared Coding Error with me, I realized this wasn't really a film about artificial intelligence. At its heart, it's about a machine slowly becoming something it was never designed to become. That changed everything about how I approached the score. Before I wrote a single note, I wasn't thinking about music. I was thinking about David's story. And once I understood that, the score revealed itself. It couldn't remain mechanical. It had to evolve, not from one theme to another, but from one state of being to another. It's about a machine slowly becoming something it was never designed to become, and that became the governing concept of the score. I expressed it in 3 dramatic movements. The first movement is electronic. Everything is quantized, mechanical, cold. Nothing breathes because the machine doesn't breathe. The second movement is hybrid. The electronics remain, but organic instruments begin emerging through them. As the AI questions its own identity, so does the music. And eventually the orchestra takes over. The electronics quietly disappear, and now the music breathes. One thing David does repeatedly throughout the film is collapse the image towards the center of the screen. Then again. Then again. Whenever a filmmaker repeats visual language, I believe the score should acknowledge that repetition. Visual motives deserve musical motives. So I created a recurring brass gesture, a scooping brass figure that accompanies each collapse. It isn't a sound effect, it's a musical signature. Every recurrence reinforces the film's visual language. When information begins exploding across the screen, I wasn't interested in simply making the music feel tense. The AI isn't frightened yet. It's confused. There's an important difference. Rather than composing emotion, I composed process. The low strings perform overlapping pizzicato ostinati. Different rhythmic cells interlock through polyphonic dovetailing. Each part makes perfect sense by itself, but together they create instability. The music isn't imitating panic, it's imitating computation, trying to reorganize itself. And later those same rhythms return, but now they're carried by the woodwinds instead of electronics. Sometimes the most powerful cue is the one you never write. Composers are often tempted to solve the dramatic moment with music, and I believe that's a mistake. David's screenplay is intellectually dense. He's asking the audience to think about consciousness, identity, free will, responsibility. If the music speaks continuously, the audience never has time to process these ideas. Silence gives the audience room to think.
I don't want to.
One of the score's deepest structural ideas is almost invisible. It's built around 2 notes. Then, I assign C to the creator. B belongs to the AI. It can resolve upward to C, resolution, or it can fall to A, creating a deceptive cadence. Expectation gives way to uncertainty. That simple relationship became the DNA of the score. And here you can see as the AI becomes increasingly aware of itself, that interval appears again and again, but in different disguises. That interval appears throughout the score, sometimes obvious and sometimes almost invisible. The audience may never consciously hear it. By the end of the film, almost every electronic sound has disappeared. One instrument remains, the alto flute. I've met people ask me why I choose the alto flute, and the answer has very little to do with orchestration, but it has everything to do with humanity. Unlike a synthesizer, the alto flute lives because someone breathes into it. Every phrase begins with breath. Every note carries the imperfections of something alive, dark, airy, vulnerable. Not sadness for its own sake, but empathy. Because by the final scene, I no longer wanted the audience asking whether the AI had become conscious. I wanted them asking something far more uncomfortable. If we believe the voice has become human, then what responsibility do we bear towards it? The music's vocabulary ends without a cadence. The final phrase simply stops, like a breath, interrupted. Just as the AI does. The question remains unanswered, and that's exactly where David's film wanted us to leave the theater. Today's composers have extraordinary technology, but technology doesn't replace dramatic thinking. A soundtrack shouldn't decorate a film. It should reveal what the audience cannot see. The composer has only a few weeks. You walk into someone else's vision, and you have to understand the narrative. You have to discover the concept. You have to write the music and convince the director that every decision belongs. And that's the job.